So let's look at this sutta. Page 58. So those who have not just listened to me, but living oral tradition. Page 58, the impermanent I distorts, S 25.1. And then there's the Pali page, the Pali Plant Society book is volume 3, page 225, so it's only one page now. At Savatthi. So, Samyutta Nikaya normally doesn't have Ewang Visuddham. Ewang Visuddham right at the start of the chapter, and the rest all, they assume you know the place, or maybe they'll just tell you at Savatthi, that's all. There the Blessed One said, okay, here you find the Buddha teaching, no invitation. The Buddha decided that day, the monks are all there, is going to talk about this wonderful teaching. And I tell you, every time I give teachings like this, I'm amazed, you know, how this sutta can come down to us after 2,500 years. Right? Something people tell you yesterday, you can't remember also. But here, 2,500 years has come down to us. Isn't that wonderful? That the sutta is still with us. And we should really treasure this. And the best way to preserve the Dharma is inside you. You know, even books like this can disappear. Internet also can get hacked. Many people's phone get, email get hacked, internet. Sometimes our internet also people put straight advertisements on it. So, but you internalize it, you practice, it's always there with you, by your example, right? This is the most wonderful way of teaching the Dharma, by your own example. If someone comes to you and says, you look so peaceful, you must be a Buddhist, that's a compliment. That's a wonderful compliment. In fact, that's what happens. You see the famous story of Sariputta and Asaji, remember how he got converted? Not through noisy advertisement and tell people, hey, you know, you better not be that far, otherwise you go to hell, you know. You don't get more scared. But here, Asaji was walking very peacefully, very calmly, keeping to all the rules. And then Sariputta comes along and says, wow, this holy man is really something special about him, so peaceful. Right? No intellectual questions. Just look at him. He exudes peacefulness. So he goes up to him and says, who's your teacher? What's the teaching? Can you teach me? But Asaji was a bit concerned. He says, oh, these wanderers. At that time, Sariputta was a wanderer. Wanderers basically are like, how shall we say, intellectuals. They're not interested in the real truth. They just want to argue. So Asaji was a bit afraid and says, I don't think I want to too much discussion with this person. It's going to, you know, a lot of long talk which are not useful. So he said, no, I don't know much, you know, I'm only a student. But here the teaching at many levels, you know, on the student side, the teaching is you must be persistent. If the teacher don't teach you, ask again and again and again. If the teacher get irritated, it's not good, okay? But if you ask, I'm talking about asking Dharma questions, not other things. So in the end, Sariputta says, please teach me something. I'm sure you know something. If you can't teach me a lot of things, just a verse maybe, just a short teaching. So in the end, Asaji said, okay. So Asaji gave him four line verse. Of all things that arise from the cause, the causes the teacher, the Tathagata is known, and the ending too he knows. This is the teaching of all the Buddhas. Now, Sariputta was no ordinary person. He has been struggling many lives, building up his spirituality. So it's just like you and I here, we spend this life studying the Dharma, coming here, practicing, sacrificing our time to learn the Dharma. So he's been doing that many lives. So when he heard the first two lines only, first two lines, he at once became a stream winner. Stream winner. That means what? Stream. You're on the stream and the stream is going down to Nirvana. 7 more lives at the most we go. So we often hear of this. So, and then he thought about it, says, something he felt, still something missing. So he said, you must go and see the teacher. But there was something else. He remembered his friends, See, Sariputta Moggallana are good friends. And here's another lesson about good friends. You see, they're such good friends as teenagers, they enjoy themselves everywhere. How did their life change came into being? One day, as young, probably they were still, maybe, 18, 19 years old, they went to enjoy this hilltop festival, Giragga Samarja. I don't know, Singapore, maybe, I don't know what you call it, Singapore was the most fun thing. People go, some kind of fun fair where you go to some, what they call this, Sentosa, yeah? And you went there, you started doing all these things, all kinds of wonderful, happy things, you know, people sitting on the swing and singing, you know those Hindi movies thing, yeah? Everybody is very happy, you know? And then suddenly, something happened. You know, you see movies sometimes, these people, they fall in love, right? And the world suddenly seems to stop, you know, right? Only these two people, right? But it's the opposite, you know? Suddenly the world seems strange, all these people singing and the swing, all slow down and seem to stop. You know? So this Sariputta spoke to Moggallana and said, you know, look at all these people around us. Huh? They seem to be happy and dancing and singing and doing all kinds of things. But don't they realize, you know, within 100 years, within a lifetime, we all die. So what is there to enjoy? Now there's a special term for this kind of feeling. Anyone remember the name? Very important Buddhist term for this in Buddhist psychology. It's called Samvega. Have you heard of this word? Samvega? Yeah. Samvega is the feeling that Prince Siddhartha had when he saw the first three signs: old man, sick man, dead man. So same thing with Sariputta and Moggallana. But the fourth sign is the happy one. Fourth sign is pasada, joy. Okay? So Sariputta and Moggallana agreed. Both of them agreed, yeah, very true, you know. And they went away. Change. And this story is very beautiful, you know. It means our life can change any time if you're observant, you know. You can go, I don't know how many people of their lives have changed when they go to the IR, they go to all those gambling places. Maybe they must lose everything and then they realize that it's quite painful. So then they go away, they say, oh, well, let's find out the truth. But then they say, okay, you know, it's very difficult. The two of us go everywhere like king traps, Lankas, you say. So, okay, let's double the chance. You know? So each of us go our way, right? So Sariputta went one way, Moggallana went one way. So, but when we discover the teacher, we come back, certain time we report to each other. So Sariputta comes back, tells Moggallana. And the moment Sariputta speaks those two lines, Moggallana also becomes strenuous. So this is where we call it parato gosa. Parato gosa, hearing the sound of another, listening. So when you listen to teachings also, you can get streamlining. You can hit the path to awakening. And then you get to see the Buddha. So that's one story of how this great saint became streamliners, by listening. This idea of listening is very important. In fact, some scholars even go to the extent of saying the streamliners, sota pannas. Like sota plus apana. Apana is attain, and sota. What's sota? Sota, of course, here we say sota means stream. But some scholars say sota can also mean ear. So, same word, you know. Except in Sanskrit it's different, and Pali same. So, it is possible that in the case of the streamliner, they also hear things, they get into that, they attain that state. It's possible. But of course, you don't have many evidence or many lines or suttas in the Pali canon which support this, but it's possible to interpret it that way. Usually it is the stream. Okay? But one thing we know, in the case of a streamliner, he has great faith in the Dharma. And faith only arises to listen. In those days. But like now, you are listening, although we do read notes. Right? So in Buddhist terminology, sutta, S-U-T-A, sutta means heard a lot. Bahu sutta, heard a lot. Right? Remember in the Mangala Sutta? Bahu satchancha sitpancha. Right? One who has heard a lot. Ketan Mangala Nuttaman. This is a great blessing. Bahu sutta, heard a lot. This is the meaning of the word wisdom in ancient time, Buddha's time. Today we say well-read. But well-read is only a smaller quality under Bahu sutta. Very important thing is to hear. Why? Because here, and here also not just listening to a tape, you know. You're listening to a tape, you are listening to a computer, you know. But here, there's a lively interconnection. Right? So you get a different feeling. Okay? So it's more alive, more living transmission, so to speak. And then if you ask questions, it helps even more. But in the Buddha's time, you are with the teacher will watch you, look at you, and teach you not just intellectually, but also socially, emotionally. Okay? So this is, I'm talking about through faith, right? So the other one is through wisdom, which we will look in a moment. Okay, let's come back to the Sutta. You notice there's so much to talk about. I just mentioned to you the Buddha said, and then I went on rattling something else. Right? And all these are interconnected. Now we come back to the Sutta. The 6 sense bases are impermanent. That's the summary. Okay, section 2, that is the verse you must remember. That's the instruction the Buddha has given us. That's the most important part. So this is the one you should mark. This is the one, if you can, memorize it. If not, write it down on a piece of card. And you've got nothing to do, just look at it, reflect. If you don't like this one, maybe you look at the other 9 suttas, select your verse. Use this like a puja. Okay, what are the words? Bhikshus. The I is impermanent, changing, becoming otherwise. This is the first line. Remember, make sure you understand the first line. Once you understand the first line, everything else repeat. They make use of the same template. What is the Buddha saying here? The I is impermanent. First of all, the I, Cakkhu, or Chakshu in Sanskrit, the Buddha is not talking about the eyeball, okay? Because there is a word for eyeball. It's called Akhi. Yeah? But we rarely, you must say Akhi, you don't know what it is, right? Because Akhi actually means eyeball. Because the Buddha is not interested in Akhi, because it's just a thing. See? But Cakkhu means the eye faculty, the functioning eye, this one right here, and you all have it. This eye is impermanent. It doesn't last forever. It keeps changing. Right? I don't know whether I told you or not. You know I have glaucoma on both eyes. And then, my right eye is hazy. Did I tell you the last time I talked to you about it? So I was wondering why my right eye is hazy. I see it as a bit like a mist. I like mist, but not this kind of mist. So whenever I see it as a mist, I can't see your face clearly. I got to wing my eyes. Very risky to wing my eyes in public. So I have to close my eye then. And then after 1 month, 1 or 2 months, finally this doctor says, okay, you have cataract. The moment they say cataract, I felt so happy actually. I felt relieved. I said, wow, thank goodness. I was worried about the macular degeneration. That's terrible. The retina get dislodged, you get blind. Cataract, you can just go for operation and remove it. That's no problem. So this is when knowledge brings you joy. Because you know, although it is suffering, but you are not afraid of it. You know what it is, and you know what to do with it. So we should not be afraid to face suffering in that sense, with wisdom. So after that, I'm very happy, and then next week I'll be going for a checkup somewhere, and we don't know when the operation will be. So this is where knowledge is very important, right kind of knowledge. So the eye is impermanent. You got to accept it. In fact, I have some very kind students who worry more about my eyes than I do. I said, look, I am 63 and my eyes are normal. See, this is normal, and I use a lot of my eyes to do my work. It's normal, so I take it like that. And of course, very kind people to worry. And so the idea is to remember the nature of the physical parts of the body. Number 2, changing. Right? Sometimes good, sometimes bad, eyesight change, right? People change. And then becoming otherwise. Sometimes we want nice eyes when you get tall, but you still get your eyes look blurry and then great eyes, people think you're a Raksha or something, But it's okay. That's the way eyes are. Like they're changing. So remember these 3 reflection and impermanence. Changing, impermanent, changing, becoming otherwise. Becoming otherwise means you expect it one thing, it becomes another thing. Sometimes it doesn't follow what you want. This is the way things are impermanent. Then when things are impermanent, next thing is if you understand the nature of impermanence, you also understand the nature of dukkha, suffering, but it doesn't trouble you because you know what is suffering, unsatisfactoriness. But you must understand the theory behind it. what is impermanent and suffering has no abiding self. That's how the three characteristics are interconnected. This is the essence of the teaching of the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta, the second discourse. Remember, that is important. Everything, all conditioned things or everything are impermanent. And what is impermanent is suffering, dukkha. What is impermanent and suffering and subject to change have no abiding self, no self. The three characteristics. Okay? Now, so this is a reflection, constant reflection. And as you go through life, you begin to see all these things and you connect with this thing, and then you become real to you. And if someone really got sick, really badly sick, you are there, you are calm and peaceful, you're able to help this person. Alright? Now, okay, let's come back to this passage. Now, this passage is very important.